picked up my potato order this morning. Went down to the local shed, as they call it. It's the allotment society. You know, it's all subsidised. You get all your bits and pieces dirt cheap, and good quality as well. They don't get rubbish. It's where I get most of my supplies for the allotment. But yeah, just this morning I had to go and pick up my potato order. I've got a first early called Foremost. I've got good old Charlotte as a second early. And then for main crops, I've got Sarpomera. I grow that every year. And I've got pink fir apple. I also grow that every year. I'm going to have a look in the bag. Let's see how these are looking. See if they're any good or not. I guarantee they're good. So then, proceeding in the chronological order of the season, let's have a look at what we've got. First earlies first. These are a brand called Jameson Brothers, who I've not had before, but I trust David over at the shed. I know he will have got some decent potatoes. These are a variety called Foremost, which I've not grown before. But they're RHS awarded. They come highly recommended from the bits and pieces I've seen online. They look good in the bag. They look very healthy through the bag. So let's have a look and see what we've actually got. They're looking good. Yeah. They are. They're a nice uniform size. There's no signs of rot or mush or anything nasty in there. And they're at exactly the sort of stage that I'd like to get them. They've just got the first few little shoots coming through. I'm pleased with them. Very, very healthy seed potatoes. Right, that's the first earlies. Second earlies. Charlotte. I've grown these year after year after year. I'll stick with them. As I do with a lot of fruit and veg. You know, if you find something that works, stick with it. These are Charlottes. Larger than the first earlies, as they generally are. Again, they're looking very healthy. Yeah. Lovely, healthy examples. Being second earlies, they're not sprouting just yet. You can just see that there. That's the very, very beginnings of it. Thanks, Twinkle. I'll be back in a second. Much as I love her, time and a place. Where were we? Charlotte's, second earlies, again, very, very healthy specimens. Let's get on to the main crops. Sarpomera. Absolutely unbeatable potatoes these are. They're so resistant to blight. I absolutely love them. You couldn't persuade me to grow another main crop, to be honest. They're reddish. They vary between yellow, brown, red. You can get some really, really lovely big examples. The biggest of the Sarpomeras really are huge baking potatoes. And they do well at any size, to be honest. If you want to start taking them early, they're absolutely fine. And they store very well. I've kept these from harvest in September all the way through to February, March, and they've been perfectly edible. They've been absolutely fine. I won't bother tearing them open, but again, very high quality seed potatoes. And then the last one, again, same old, grow these every year, pink fir apple. Now I will open these up and show you them. They're absolutely delicious. And the two main reasons I like them are that they store absolutely brilliantly. You can store these all the way through the winter, all the way through into the next spring, through the hungry gap. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. They store brilliantly. They don't go rubbery. They don't start putting out shoots. Because they don't start putting out shoots as well, they're very slow to chip when you chip your potatoes to get them started. You do have to wait for them to chip, but it's not a problem. By the end of the season, you've got huge amounts of them. And by being slow to chip, they store extremely well. And they've got a lovely nutty flavour. Part of the other reason that I really like these is you treat them as new potatoes. Although your general new potatoes are ready in early summer, late spring, early summer, these ones aren't ready until, they're a main crop in that sense. They're not ready until late autumn into the winter. And they're just like lovely new potatoes. It's not often that you get them all year round, and these are a great substitute with extra flavour. Yeah. That's my potatoes. And that will see me, as long as I get them up in time before it gets too wet in the autumn, and as long as I store them properly, that will be our potatoes for the household all the way through the winter into the spring until I start planting potatoes again next year. Also picked up some red onion sets, red Baron, some more shallots. I've already got shallots on the go, but these are some red Sun and some golden gourmet. I'm going to show you how the onions and the shallots that I've already got going in trays are getting on. They're doing quite well. So these are the onion sets and the shallot sets, which I put out, I think, about 3 weeks ago. They went right through that cold snap. It's never a problem for these sets. They've got some sort of natural antifreeze in them. It doesn't bother them one bit. And then as soon as that cold snap passed and things started to warm up, they've all shooted. You can't see half of them because I've put extra compost in. What very often happens is as the roots grow on the bottom. Actually, I'll just yank one out and show you. It won't do any harm. As the roots grow on the bottom, it tends to push them up and they fall over. That's going straight back in a second, it'll be alright. So rather than mess around with them too much, like I just did with that poor little sod, I've just topped it all up with a bit of extra compost and straightened them up in that loose compost, just so that they're growing in the right direction. There's far more in there than you can actually see, but they're all shooting now, and once they've shooted, they can go out on the allotment and the birds will leave them alone. They'll recognise them for what they are and they won't pull them out of the ground. On that note, actually, this is another thing. When people say that birds are pulling their sets out of the ground, to be honest, until I straightened these all up, half of them were laying on their side with exposed roots, and that's just the effect of the roots pushing them out of the ground. Nothing to do with birds in this particular setup. Right, I'm going to put those potatoes out to chip. I'm going to set them all up in egg boxes, and I'll show you the result. There, he's fine. No onions were harmed during the making of this video. This is how I chip my potatoes. As it happens, I have an abundance of egg boxes. It's what's handy, it's what I've got, and it works very well. Now, there's a lot of debate about chipping potatoes. It's not actually necessary. You don't have to do it. It's not essential to grow potatoes. But what I find is it is the most convenient and the most beneficial way to the seed potatoes of storing them. It's now 1st of March, first day of March today. There's still a lot of cold weather to come, and these potatoes have got a little while before they're going to be able to go in the ground. The ground on my allotment is downright sodden at the moment. If I were to put them in now, it wouldn't do them any good. By storing them this way, it means that they're dry, they're warm, they're frost free, and they need to get a little bit of light as well. I've heard some people saying that you should chip potatoes in the dark. That's not a good idea, because in the dark those little shoots really reach for light. They start growing crazy, they go all over the place, just searching for light. If you chip them like this in a light, airy area, the light keeps the shoots, the chits, nice and short and healthy, and they stay green and strong, so when you plant them they don't break off. You do it in the dark, they go all white. I'm sure you've left a bag of potatoes in a cupboard and seen the result. That's what you end up with. When you try and plant them, they'll just break off anyway. So these are going to go in the shed. Just through there you can probably see the shed. It's got lots of windows in it and it's frost free at the moment. I'm going to keep an eye on the weather, but they should be okay. The onions can stay out here, they're absolutely fine. Onions are happy in chilly weather. Potatoes, shed. And the last thing I'm going to dare to do today, in terms of getting things started, I'm going to plant some carrots, some swede and some cauliflower. Now, I fancy my chances, to be honest. If I start them off indoors and then gradually acclimatise them once they've started to shoot. And I've even got a little brewing heat mat that I can use. I quite often use that with seedlings. It's a nice consistent low temperature that helps them on their way. So I think I'll probably be okay as long as I'm careful about it. We'll get these 2 different varieties of Amsterdam carrot on the go. I'll get through a lot of carrots. I eat carrots, my rabbit eats carrots. Carrots are great. I've never grown these 2 before. I'm used to growing sweet candle, tender and true, that kind of thing. These ones I've never done before, but I can see the link. Amsterdam, carrots, house orange, all that. Swede, invitation, that's one I've not done before. I always grow swede, big fan of swede, freezes well, great in mash, brilliant stuff. Not grown that particular one before. And then the cauliflower is all year round. That's another old favourite. I grow that year in, year out, very reliable, absolutely brilliant. Now, these seeds I bought in Wilkinson's last September. If you've got a Wilkinson's near you, and if you go the right week in September, you'll find that all of their seeds are reduced to 10p and 20p a packet. I think the £2 carrots cost me 20p. The 75p carrots cost me 10p. The £2 swede cost me 20p. And the 50p cauliflower cost me 10p. So if you're in a position to do so, go to Wilkinson's in September and you can get your next year's seeds cheap as anything. Right, I hope I'm not being foolhardy by starting all this lot off. The other thing that's doing well is the garlic. The garlic has been in the ground up the allotment since last October, and that's romping along nicely. Really, really healthy, nice strong green shoots coming out of it. The cold weather did it no harm whatsoever. This is where I'm at the moment because the allotment is still very boggy. I can't go up there and start digging and planting yet. Not that there's much digging to do because the old no-dig heavy mulch method has done really well at keeping the weeds down over the winter. It's going to be a very welcome, easy spring of planting this year. There you go. As soon as things look better up the allotment, we'll go and have a look and see where to plant this lot. See you later. All of that's Rachel's, by the way. She's terrible.